Marlon, how we doing, man?
I'm good. How do you not let Ash talk for so long? Jeez.
You know how it is. You know how it is, Marlon. You know how it is. Don't bring the mood down now. Don't bring the mood down. Are we excited for the Derby? Come on.
Are you as gassed as Ash?
Match Ash's energy. Come on.
Look, the one thing I was disappointed when I heard De Zerbi was coming in. The one thing I was proper disappointed with was that he's the one that's going to prove me wrong about Archie Gray. And what I mean by that, I've slammed Archie Gray. I think I was with Sim and I slammed him. I've slammed him everywhere he's gone.
You're not being proved wrong already, surely.
No, not in 2 games. You're joking. Come on.
Did you see his goal last night?
Against Moldova. Okay. I did see it. No, but he's playing really well at the moment. But the thing is that I reckon he's going to, like Ash said, he's going to be a very beneficial part of De Zerbi. And I think all the midfielders are. And that's where I do agree with Ash at the moment. What I've said to everyone is we now have a chance to survive relegation. Mm-hmm. That's what disappointment does. Forget everything else right now. We now have a chance. We're under Tudor. I think we could all clearly see we wanted it to kind of work, but it wasn't going to work. And we were just slowly sleepwalking down into the relegation zone. And that's what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. But with De Zerbi, no matter if he keeps us up or not, I think a lot of us are going into this Sunderland game going, you know what? He's got 2 weeks. He doesn't really need to put his style on it. He just needs to get these players going, go out there and play some football. Just stop whatever you've been listening to for the last 9 months, go and do something. I'm here long term, because that's the other thing as well. Right? I know everyone's moaning, it's 5 years. I don't care if he's here 5 years or not. If he helps us survive relegation, okay, he's going to get time next season. Mm-hmm. A lot of, I know everyone wants Poch, and that's what they're all talking about. But with De Zerbi, we just have something slightly, completely different. And if he's here for 18 months, he's here for 18 months. Who the hell cares? Because at the present moment, we are fighting not to go down. I don't want to go down. I think everyone said they don't want to go down. So he needs just
not everyone.
All he needs to do. Yeah, I know not everyone. We won't talk about him. We won't talk about him.
You're not backing Stellegation then? You're not backing it?
Oh, mate, every time I text Stell and go, I'm not with you.
He goes, I'll put you down for 2 at the protest. The Stellegation parade.
But this, I think everyone needs to be positive about this. And I know a lot of people are talking about they're talking about the whole Mason Greenwood thing, but no one's talking about his time at Shakhtar, where he made sure that the international players were all gone before he left. He made sure, and that was their families as well. And people don't want to talk about the positives with De Zerbi. And it's kind of like you've got to have a happy medium here.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the thing. Is like you've got to leave the things off the pitch at the moment.
Yeah.
Because Spurs have completed in a relegation battle, and I'm not going to sit here and say what he said about Mason Greenwood's right, because I don't think it is. I'll be the same when I was with Arteta. I'm the same with De Zerbi. But right now, in footballing terms, and this is what we have to talk about in footballing terms right now, I'm sitting there going, am I happy that De Zerbi's coming in? I probably am, because he's probably the best that we could get in this situation that we're in, that we could go after. Okay, and that's the bit everyone's got to remember, because I think Ash made another good point. I don't tell him I said this, but if we go down to the Championship, we don't get a De Zerbi.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the difference, and that's where it could be long term. And if De Zerbi does stay and he goes, you know what, I want to see out this project, even if we go down, at least with that, it gives us a chance to come back up. And that's the thing with De Zerbi. His football will allow us to come back up, and it will allow us to kind of have that year in the Championship and for him to build. But even if he doesn't go down,
Marlon, do you think he'll actually stay if we go down?
If it's true, from what the rumours are saying, if that contract is true, I think he will stay. I think he will see it out. I think he will go, you know what? With Tottenham, we might look like we might think we are a top 6 club when it comes down to revenue, stadium, and everything like that. He might think of this actually, I can build this from the ground up and come in 2 years and maybe turn it into an established World Premier League side and then have a 3rd year. Because the one thing about Spurs, and we love chaos. We love a chaos, and this manager is chaotic. Okay, he gets to a point and then he kind of he blows up. But everyone was talking about that training ground video with the Marseille player that he had to bust up with. Yeah. But apparently, when you actually watch the video and watch the translation, a lot of the players tried to tell the player exactly the same thing, and he weren't listening. and hence and he just wasn't available. He just couldn't do what he was being asked to do. And a lot of the players said, if you come to this club and you can't do it, that's it. You've got to go. And I think that's how some of these players now in the first team squad are exactly the same. If you can't do it, and you can't get us out of this relegation battle, and you don't want to be here, just go. There's no point you being here. Just go and do what you need to do. But look, I think the fans should not be slightly excited. I think it's more to do with, if we survive, they should be excited for next season, and just look at it and go, this could be the coach that could be the one that just kind of switches it, turns things around, gets that light bulb on. But he's got to get through the next 7 games, and that's the most important thing in all this. And everyone's spoke about the money. I don't give a crap. This is the high risk reward situation. You've got to do it. Unfortunately, the board are desperate. They are literally desperate, and they've literally wanted to get him last year, but he was at Marseille. They tried to get him before Tudor, and he just wasn't having it. And then do you know what? If it's the money that's persuaded him, let the money persuade him, because he's now got to come in and do a job and keep us in this Premier League.
Marlon, what do you say to fans who argue his character, his personality, his fiery nature, his volatility is the last thing we need right now when it comes to a relegation battle, and in coming into a dressing room in very low confidence, which we've seen a lot of players maybe lacking that confidence, and they need maybe arguing they need an arm around the shoulder, all this kind of stuff. There are a lot of fans who say De Zerbi, someone of his character, is the last thing this club needs. He's not a unifying figure. He, as you say, he's divided the fan base where we need unity. What do you say to those fans who think that way? Again,
you got to look at the positives, because he's gone into Marseille, and the players that he has turned around, he's managed to get them playing. At Brighton, a lot of people come out and speak positive about this guy, and he's not going to come in straight away and be like, "You're crap, you're crap, you're crap. I don't want you." He knows he's going to assess the situation. He'd be stupid not to. At the end of the day, he wants to be in the Premier League next year. He don't want to be in the Championship. So I've got a strange feeling we're going to see a different side of De Zerbi for these 7 games. He's not going to come in volatile. And especially with the squad we've got and the injuries, he's going to full well know he needs every single one of those players on side. He'd be stupid not to, okay? Because if he comes in and wants to be like that, then we're just going to go down. So he's fully going to be aware of the situation, because otherwise, why would he accept the job as well? 5 years he's accepted this job for. It's not like Tudor, where he's accepted it for 6 months and he can come in and he didn't realise the situation. And yes, De Zerbi probably doesn't realise the situation yet until these players come back on Friday after international duty and realise how bad the situation is. But he's seen it from outside looking in, like the rest of us, and he won't come in there and be like, I can't do this, I can't do that. He will sit there and he's got to have assessed it, because if he hasn't, we're going down. But I think he will come in there and he will put an arm around these players, because you've seen it. Like Ash mentioned, the Brighton players, the Marseille players as well, that he has managed to turn around. And I think the same's going to be with Tottenham Hotspur right now. And there's a few players in this squad that he's probably wanted throughout his career. And like I said, he's going to turn Archie Gray into an £80 million player who's on form as well, on form. So there's certain players in the squad.
He's already a £50 million player, so.
Oh, go away, Ben. Go away.
But Marlon, back on your point before about ENIC, if De Zerbi does keep us up, they've like you mentioned, they've offered him a long contract, massive money. If he does keep us up now, then I think that will unify the fan base, and I think the majority of the fan base will be totally behind him. And then, do you not think even at that point, ENIC are even more under pressure to deliver for De Zerbi at that point?
We discussed this on the show when me and Ash discussed this on Monday, and even the people that were quite, there was the guy on there, and he's very ENIC in. He was very up for Daniel Levy and stuff like that. But he's turned a bit. But he said, this is the perfect moment for all us ENIC out fans, because this summer will now show whether ENIC are serious or not. Because they have no choice. They're actually backed into a corner. They don't have a Europa League.
How many times have we said that, though? Like every summer we say it.
But they are literally now back to, we finished 17th last year, and possibility we're in a relegation battle. We don't know where we're going to finish. If it comes to September 1st and they still haven't sorted the situation out, and you've got a fiery De Zerbi as well on top, right? You'd be like, no, I can't do it. And he will throw his toys out the pram as soon as I think they are completely done with the fan base that are still with ENIC. And you've got to admit, there's fans at the stadium that are still with ENIC because there's a lot of them that won't protest. So that for me says that they are still on the side of ENIC going, they think the club's being run okay and they think they're doing an okay job, because otherwise they'd want change and they'd be like with everyone else. And you have to respect them for that. But I think a lot of them are sitting on the fence right now. And I think January was the first window, and for Lange to come out and say, we're going to have players coming back, this is the reason why we didn't want to panic and all that thing. This is the reason why we're going in a relegation battle now, because, you know, certain players will come back, but we'll lose other players. So we needed it to do. But now going back to the summer, like you said, ENIC have no choice. There is actually no choice in the matter. They have to back De Zerbi. They have to support the players, because there's going to be players sold as well. And let's take Romero and Van de Ven, who are probably the most likely candidates to leave in the summer. They have to be replaced. You can't sit there and rely on Dancer and Dragushin, because you can clearly see, Vuskovic will come back, but they still need one more. Because Vuskovic can't come back next to a Dancer or Dragushin.
Correct.
And don't get me wrong, Dragushin is not a lot of us will get rid of tomorrow. Danso, you can clearly see he's a good player to come in. He's not a first team one that you can rely on every week, but to come in and do a job like when Kevin Wimmer for the first time came in for Tonga, that's the sort of player that I see Danso as. So you got Vuskovic, you need to make sure you put him next to someone, otherwise it's talent gone, because we've seen it with Archie Gray and Bergwijn. If you don't bring in the players to support them, it takes them a long time, and fans like me will get on their back, because we're not seeing that change.
100%. And there's also another element to it, why it's so positive bringing him now instead of the summer. Whereas every manager that comes in the summer, like Thomas Frank came in and we were like, oh, he needs a bit of time to assess the squad. Now he's got this time to assess the squad. So bang, at the end of the season, he'll know who he needs, who he wants to get rid of and who he wants to bring in. That's the most positive thing about it going into next season.
And that is so key right now. And that's the thing. He's got 7 games to assess it, and he will know, because he will know which ones are up for the fight, which ones are not. And those are the players that he's going to want long term, the ones that are up for the fight. And I think we can see as fans who are up for it, but we can also see the players that are kind of going, you know what, I don't care if this club gets relegated at the same time. But look, people have got to not be excited. I get the reservations, but they've got to kind of look. The next 7 games are probably are going to be the most important for a very long time.
Yeah,
and we just need to be. We don't need to be split on this. Right, there was a reason why we tried to go against Nottingham Forest and try to bring all together. We've got to keep that going. We've got to kind of keep these positive vibes and kind of make sure that infects the team for them to go out and play football. Because unfortunately, we've got 3 home games that in any other season are winnable. We've won 2 home games this year, 2 home games. And we just need to get performances and we need to get results. And that's all that matters. It's about results. I don't care. Like I know Ash mentioned before about the football and whatnot. I don't care about the football. I just want to get results. We just need to get over that line in the next couple of weeks and make sure that we are not in the Championship next year. Look, it'd be some fun away days, don't get me wrong, but I just don't want to be there. And I'm not one of them, like, there's no VAR. I'm not that bad about VAR. I just think it is what it is. Just get used to it.
If we're doing De Zerbi bingo, Marlon, how many years into his 5-year deal does he last?
That's a good point. To the end of next season.
So what? Just over a year?
Just over a year, yeah.
So what? 4 years we're going to have to pay out.
January, ENIC will turn back into ENIC and he'll
You're saying
bust.
In January we'll start getting the grumblings. He's unhappy. Yeah. We'll start getting more and more press conferences. There'll be a blow up in April. By the end of the season, he'll be gone.
But if we're in the Premier League, he leaves a hero.
I reckon he lasts a bit longer than that. I reckon past the end of next season. But
I think we're going to fall in love with them as a fan base. If you like Brighton, if you see the positive stuff they've put out, a lot of their fans, they loved him. Marseille fans loved him. I think the way we are at the moment, I think we're just looking for a manager to love. And Frank wasn't that guy. Tudor was too short. And Postecoglou, even he just split the fan base at the end because we were shitting the bed with Premier League results.
Yeah.
And it was the results bits that kind of killed him. But we all fell in love with him after the Europa League. But the problem, I think, with De Zerbi, I think he's got a very Poch-esque about him, the way he lets the fans, the way he is with the fans. And I think what will happen is they'll be against him now, but give it a year or so, probably into next season. And once we start
just about when he's about to leave.
Yeah, but no, just before January. I think around October, like after that, I think once the season starts and we start seeing the football that he wants to play, I think a lot of the fans will be happy about it, and I think that's when he'll get that affectionate with us, and then that's when a lot of them will turn.
But if that does happen, then that's the risk that ENIC are running here. Because if they don't back him and the fans are falling in love with him, then they're running a massive risk because they have to back him then.
They have to back. Well, they've said for the last year or so that we've got money to spend. We want to spend it. We want to do this. We want to do that. And
but then Vinay is saying we need to watch our pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like one thing. But Vinay, I don't trust Vinay as far as I can throw him. I've said it from day one. Any gooner coming into this club, I don't understand why we all going, oh, but he's a good community. I don't give a crap. He's still a gooner at the end of the day. But look, the club have got to show some ambition. They've got to show us something, because if not, if it's not this year that we get relegated, it'll just be next year.
Yeah.
So, because that's what we're doing. We're just sleepwalking into the Championship as we speak. And admittedly, last year there was no way we were going to get relegated, so we get away with it. But finishing 17th is still on our CV kind of thing. But this year, we're towing the line. We are literally towing the line, and that's the thing. We've just got to survive this.
Absolutely. Big up, Marlon. Thanks for coming on today. Everyone, do go and subscribe to Spurs Kings TV once again, and we'll speak to you soon, bro.
Yeah, big up, boys.
Big up.
Come on.